This is the Washington Times front page for Thursday, July 16th, 2026. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. The U.S. military launched another wave of attacks against Iran and turned away ships evading its blockade. Vaughn Cockayne and Tom Howe report U.S. Central Command said it struck targets in Iran late Wednesday at President Trump's direction. It's part of the administration's bid to disrupt Iran's ability to target international vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. American forces also began blocking ships attempting to evade a naval blockade of Iranian ports. The U.S. imposed an earlier naval blockade on Iran from April 13th to June 18th. The military redirected 140 ships and disabled 9 more during that time. The economic pressure is intended to force Iran to comply with U.S. demands to end the war. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche took responsibility for errors in releasing the Epstein files, but defended the Department of Justice's response as a good effort. Stephen Dinan reports Blanche made the statement in his confirmation hearing for the permanent position in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Questions about late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein were frequent. Some identifying information of victims' names from the files still made it into the department's releases, and Blanche took the blame. Blanche also said the anti-weaponization fund President Trump established that was abandoned has not made any payouts and won't make any in the future. The Trump administration's push to take direct financial stakes in private defense and critical minerals companies raises a host of political, ethical, and financial questions for the military. Ben Wolfgang reports the administration has taken direct equity stakes in more than 20 private companies, according to a tally compiled by the Cato Institute. Many of those investments have come through the Commerce Department or other government agencies. The Pentagon itself has taken or intends to take equity stakes in at least 4 private firms, one in a company that will produce solid rocket motors for munitions, and the others in companies that mine and process rare earth elements and other critical minerals. Critics say the potential conflict of interest could become a major problem if the Pentagon feels compelled to rely on products or services from a company in which it has a financial stake, even if a competitor offers something better. The House voted to defeat a measure that would have cut off military aid to Israel. George Caldwell reports the measure failed 104 to 314. 103 of 212 House Democrats voted for the measure, with 10 Democrats voting present. The only Republican voting yes was the author of the legislation, Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky. Longtime establishment Democrats such as former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Representative Jim McGovern of Massachusetts joined left-wing firebrands such as Representative Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts in supporting the measure. And finally, the Democratic Socialists of America Party has released an updated platform that calls for eliminating the U.S. Senate and abolishing U.S. immigration and customs enforcement. Seth MacLachlan reports the platform's language also calls for replacing the President and Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by and subordinate to Congress. The party argues these changes would curb concentrated power in Washington and create a more democratic system. The party says workers are being pitted against one another and displaced by artificial intelligence, leaving people desperate and miserable as capitalism turns toward right-wing authoritarianism. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.